Welcome back to British Stance and breaking news with regard to Tommy Robinson. As you can read there in the title, of course, he has lost his High Court appeal and will remain in isolation. Absolutely disastrous news for Tommy. Most certainly bad news for Tommy Robinson, of course. And of course his supporters as well. This is diabolical. We are going to break down what has been said as the verdict has been given. But as always, guys, do get involved in the live chat. Hit the like button and the subscribe button. And we'll be taking your thoughts and opinions on this a little bit later on. Now, of course, yesterday there was a long time, of course, in the court. And there was a lot of twists and turns with regard to Tommy Robinson. We heard from one of the guys that was there on the ground, and he documented it really well on what happened about video calls being called off, and the verdict was supposed to be given yesterday. However, of course, the judge did announce to the court stating that he needed to sleep on it and that the verdict would be given the next day. And there was a lot of optimism from people that were there, of course, with regard to this in particular judge. Now, one of the people that were on the ground did say that he was sort of favouring the American First Amendment and the way that they operate. So as stated, there was a lot of confidence that this would, of course, go through. However, the verdict is back, ladies and gentlemen, and unfortunately he has lost his bid to bring a High Court challenge against the government over his segregation in prison. As stated, Tommy Robinson was moved to a closed wing in prison after it received reports that he had a mark on his head and would be killed by a lifer, the High Court heard. Robinson, of course, is serving an 18-month prison sentence for contempt of court after breaching an injunction. On Thursday, his barristers told the High Court that he should be allowed to bring a legal challenge over his segregation from other prisoners at HMP Woodhill in Milton Keynes, with the court told that he had suffered an evident decline in his mental health. The Ministry of Justice is opposing the bid, with his lawyers stating it is not an arguable claim and that Robinson was isolated following threats to his safety, including that he would be assaulted by other prisoners for kudos. In written submissions, Tom Cross for the MOJ said that after being sentenced in October last year, Robinson was admitted to HMP Belmarsh, but on his first day he stated that he had a conflict with followers of Islam. He then moved to HMP Woodhill on November 1st, but the prison received intelligence over threats to Robinson, which resulted in him being moved to a closed wing, which cannot be accessed by other prisoners. Again, I'm not going to go through everything. We went through a lot of it, what was happened yesterday. His barrister, of course, Williamson KC, said that in February, Robinson asked to move to an open prison, stating that solitary confinement was destroying his mind. Robinson continued, "I'm terrified of long-term consequences of the continued solitary confinement. I feel I'm being provoked to react. I want to leave prison mentally well and not broken." We did feel that there was going to potentially be something with regard to this yesterday, and a lot of people on the ground did say so as well. However, of course, the verdict is in, and that, of course, is that the Justice Chamberlain today refused Robinson's plea for a judicial review after he brought legal proceedings against Justice Secretary Shabuna Mahmood. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, the verdict's there. Now, this is unfortunate, it really is. We've been seeing and we've been documenting as a channel, of course, the treatment that Tommy Robinson has currently been getting in prison at this moment in time, and quite frankly, it's been inhumane, it's been diabolical, and yesterday's verdict wasn't as such going to change his prison conditions as such. It was just going to be the bit beforehand to then be able to be granted to launch a sort of an appeal, but that has now been refused. So yeah, I mean, what were you really expecting? Now, again, as stated, I know Dan Wootton and the other people that were there on the ground reporting it very well from the court yesterday. We're talking about how it was looking on the ground, and it did seem very positive. However, unfortunately, is not. And as I said, the law is not fit for purpose, and he should not be enduring what he is currently. As I said, he committed a civil offence and has now been in solitary confinement for 140 plus days, which is absolutely diabolical in itself. Unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate. Now, I know a lot of Tommy Robinson supporters or people that have sympathy with Tommy Robinson follow this channel. So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions on everything. So do get involved in the live chat and we'll go through what you guys are thinking. Again, lots of stuff going on this morning as well. A lot of breaking news as well. So again, just to let you know, we've got more shows coming up today. I know a lot of people were early on with the emergency incident that, of course, happened in St Leonard's in Sussex this morning, which we are going to be discussing after this one. Of course, a big emergency incident has occurred in Sussex. An individual has been arrested with chemical explosives. So we're going to discuss that a little bit later on after this live stream. But I just felt it was important, of course, to bring this breaking news to you with regard to Tommy Robinson losing his court appeal with regard to it. Bubble Moon says, sound like a judge was not good after all. The judge could have sent him home with a tag. Again, I don't know if that was about. Again, I don't know if it was about ending his prison status to over this sort of court hearing. I think it was just a bit beforehand to sort of appeal to get him out of the prison conditions. I don't think it was that advanced. However, quite frankly, a disgrace. And you can see on my thumbnail, you see who's pulling the strings with the court, don't you? You understand that. I mean, there was a lot of government lawyers there as well, which was a huge problem. But I mean, regardless, he shouldn't be being treated like that. He shouldn't be treated like that just because there's a threat against him. There's so many low-level security prisons throughout the country. He doesn't need to be in high-security prisons along with murderers and lifers, as they call them. He could be in a open prison. I mean, the crime that he's committed, or if you want to call it a crime, the civil offence that he's committed, doesn't need to be warranted as a prison. We're seeing nonces. We're seeing people that violently assault people in the streets, MPs, being able to have suspended sentences. So Tommy Robinson could have a house arrest if it was that serious, or certainly be in low-level security prisons because he's not a threat to anybody. And his prison sentence certainly isn't something that warrants solitary confinement, nor being in some of the most wicked and dangerous prisons that there actually is. Flight Time says, if Elon Musk's team is dealing with this, I don't think this will go away quickly, as some might hope. Now, again, that was an announcement earlier on at the start of the year, but there hasn't really been much on that, has there? There's not really been much conversation with regard to it since Elon Musk. I mean, it's gone a lot quiet with regard to Elon Musk's involvement. So, I mean, it hasn't been anything since then. I completely missed a super chat, guys. Thank you so much for the donation. Firstly, Civil Defence donates £5. It says, now I'm pissed off. Starmer whispering in the judge's ear. Again, looks a little bit like that, doesn't it? I mean, there was a lot of government lawyers down there yesterday, of course. But thank you so much for that donation, my man. Sue, thank you so much again for your donation. £5, not surprised. Absolutely disgraceful treatment. I mean, regardless if you're a supporter of Tommy Robinson or not, no human being should be being treated like this for a civil offence. Should not be happening. Shouldn't be happening in this day and age whatsoever. It just can't happen. Regardless if you like him, regardless, and no one's telling you to like Tommy Robinson. I know there's a lot of Tommy Robinson supporters in here, and greatly so. But even people that are neutral or don't necessarily like Tommy Robinson, you know, it's a human being treated this way for a civil offence. Should not be the case. Should not be happening in this country. Should not be happening in this country when you've got nonsense like Hugh Edwards walking out. You've got people, MPs who've violently assaulted people in the street getting suspended sentences. It just doesn't make sense whatsoever. Another donation, thank you, from Civil Defence, very, very generous, says, use this ECHR against the system now. Exactly. I mean, there was a lot of talk about sending letters to the United Nations and talking about human rights and all this kind of thing. So I don't know how far that's gone. There's a lot of things that we do get updates from Tommy Robinson's team on X. There's been a lot of updates over the last, couple of months. Elon Musk, these letters to the UN, all of these kind of things, but we don't really get any clarity on it. I know these things can take some time, but there is no further updates with regard to them, so it's quite hard to keep up with what's going on. But this is the latest news with regard to it, and it looks like he's going to be staying in solitary confinement, which is an absolute disgrace. People said, I'm damn sure Two-Tier Care was in on this. Absolutely abysmal. I mean, a lot of people are saying the same thing. Tony Blair, Keir Starmer, a lot of people saying that. Obviously, we can't confirm or deny those reports, of course. But certainly, there is a bit of superstition over the incident and Keir Starmer's involvement. Again, can't confirm or deny that as such in this live stream, but it does stink a little bit, doesn't it? It really does. John Phil says, this country is a disgrace. It's beyond this. They just want to keep him quiet. I mean, he'll be out soon. I mean, I can't remember how long it was. November 1st. Where are we now? April, coming up to April 1st as we speak. So, December, January. So, whole of November, December, January, February, March. So, 5 months. I think he's got another 4 months left. I mean, that's torrid. It's probably taken a lot of mental strain on him right now in terms of the solitary confinement bit. But going back in there for another 4 months, he's only just halfway through it. So that's pretty diabolical in itself. And it seems as though there was a lot of lies from HMP Woodhill at the court hearing yesterday, and Tommy wasn't having anything on the video link. Of course, I was not there, but listening to sources that were there with regard to the phone call being cut off with his lawyers and his representatives and the KC and all of these kind of things. Yeah. Stinks, absolutely stinks, and then having to sleep on a decision, and we find out this verdict after a lot of people were fairly confident on what was going to be happening. So, yeah, it is what it is. Another donation, thank you so much, Cara, donates £5 and says, this is so evil, they're doing everything they can to break him. Exactly, I mean, people just want to silence people, and certainly this is the way. But there's so much more questions that needs to be raised and answered with regard to his treatment. It's not just the solitary confinement; it's the treatment there with regard to people visiting him, the way that he's eating, the way that his TV's been removed, or certain TV channels have been removed as well. There's so many other unanswered questions that are currently out there that we need answers to. And I mean, this is not going to be the end of it, and we'll probably only really find out what actually went on until Tommy's actually out in 4 months' time. But again, you just got to feel for the guy because he's got another 4 months solitary confinement after today's verdict, which is absolutely shocking in itself. Carl says, time for a protest outside Woodhill then. Thank you so much for the donation. Again, the last time I seen Tommy, I mean, we'll probably get, you want to keep and be careful with the protests because Tommy Robinson's team came out and said that Tommy instructed people not to be doing any protests outside prison. So I'd probably wait and see and follow and see what they're saying. As I say, you don't want to just go out there willy-nilly and do it because it could hurt him in terms of hurt his case and all of these kind of things. But the latest we heard on protests was that, of course, his team did not want that to happen. That came from the man himself. So you'll have to wait in due course, wait for further announcements from his team regarding protests and see if anything is actually organised. But don't go out there willy-nilly on yourself. I don't think that's a good idea. Whilst you may have frustrations, you want to wait until his team actually said something like that. Diabolical, though. Absolutely diabolical. Stephen says, I'm a former research assistant and co-chair in communications work group at Toronto Community Housing. Nice one. This treacherous government will make him serve the full sentence. I mean, it's 18 months, 9 months good behaviour, 50% or even 40% for some of the early release system. So, again, we'll see what happens. I mean, I've not had any reports that it's going to be 18 months, but we'll just have to wait and see. But it's diabolical, it really is. You just got to feel for the guy. It's bad. How long is he going to be in jail? Another 4 months if he doesn't. Obviously, he was sentenced to 18 months, saying it's 9 months. He went in November 1st, or just before November 1st. I can't remember the official date. It's been, 5 months? We're approaching 5 months now. So, not 4 months. I mean, you're seeing the toll that it's taken on him after, 5 months? Another 4 months, and that's still just under halfway to go. It could cause a lot of problems. And there's the reports that came out with regard to his mental health is quite equally shocking as well. So, I mean, it's horrible. And you just got to feel for him at this moment in time. And again, you don't need to be a supporter of Tommy Robinson, by the way, guys. For those people, just have a bit of sympathy and compassion. As I said, it's another human being, and no other human being should be treated this way in prison. They shouldn't. They shouldn't, regardless. I mean, again, you can make cases for murderers and pedos and stuff like that, but if you're talking about civil offences, if someone from the Just Stop Oil regime or someone from a far left Hope Not Hate or something like that was being treated this way for the same crime, then yeah, you'd still be saying that it's not right. It's not right. It's completely wrong, and I would stand by that. So as I said, you don't need to be a supporter to know this is wrong. You just got to understand it is, but it's horrible. It really is horrible. We got a member. Thank you so much, Sweet Hamster, for becoming a British patriot. What an absolute legend. Thank you for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. Someone says who got to the judge. Well, I mean, as I said yesterday, the decision was meant to be yesterday, but there was a bit of a twist in the whole thing that the Judge Chamberlain came out and stated that he needs to sleep on it. Sleep on it. Again, I don't know about that, but he had to sleep on it and then gave the decision. So make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. But he's came out with that answer this morning, and it's been denied. But guys, as stated, we've got plenty of shows coming up for you. Please do let me know your thoughts on the Tommy Robinson update here, of course, with regard to him losing the High Court plea, and he will remain in isolation. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like and the subscribe button. We'll be back with some more big news later today, probably over the next hour, with regard to an emergency incident that has occurred in